In the spellbindingly intricate, relentlessly high stakes, and breathlessly consuming dark romantasy web of vows and vengeance, rising genre virtuoso Aria Ashbrook delivers a magnificent, masterfully engineered opening salvo to her celebrated Hierothean Path saga. Emerging as an award-winning book talk phenomenon, the novel perfectly utilizes a lethal dynasty and blood vow framework. The narrative plunges listeners headfirst into a volatile, myth-enshrouded world where ancient political factions clash along the precarious lines of the sacred Hierothean path. The plot centers on a fiercely independent, highly trained heroine who is completely consumed by a desperate, lifelong crusade for vengeance against the tyrannical house that decimated her bloodline. Her lethal objectives are thrown into total chaos when a series of dangerous political maneuvers traps her into a sacred, unbreakable marital vow with her most hated enemy, an enigmatic, ruthlessly calculating prince whose dark reputation matches her own. Bound by absolute magic and forced into immediate proximity, the two leads enter a high-stakes psychological war where a single emotional misstep could incinerate both of their kingdoms. Ashbrook's signature prose is exceptionally vivid, high energy, and dripping with an underlying razor-sharp tension that beautifully balances rich fantasy world-building with dark, intoxicating romantic frequencies. The narrative employs a highly dynamic dual perspective structure, shifting seamlessly from the glittering, predatory courtrooms of elite magical nobility to the seedy, shadow-drenched underworld networks where rebellions are forged in the dark. Ashbrook expertly weaponizes the enemies to lovers, marriage of convenience, and touch her and die formulas, dialing the tension to an absolute maximum as the lines between cold tactical calculations and genuine consuming desire begin to blur. Far from a superficial romantic adventure, the book serves as a profound, beautifully textured study on the paralyzing cost of generational trauma, the blurred morality of revolutionary violence, and the ultimate, terrifying realization that the enemy you swore to execute might be the only soul capable of truly understanding your scars. The audiobook format is an absolute tour de force for dark fantasy romance devotees, leveraging an incredibly raw, high-friction dual narration performance that captures the unhinged intensity and visceral panic of Ashbrook's world with flawless precision. The vocal execution masterfully handles the narrative's changing frequencies, perfectly translating the heroine's sharp, unapologetic, and survival-driven cadence, while contrasting it beautifully with the low, terrifyingly smooth and gravelly dominance of the prince's possessive internal monologues. The exceptional auditory pacing turns tense blade-to-throat domestic standoffs, high-stakes political espionage, and intense high-heat encounters into an incredibly addictive audio binge that flows powerfully through headphones. It is an essential, mandatory listen for fantasy purists who crave the rich, multi-layered worlds of Sarah J. Maas, combined with the toxic, high-stakes court tension of Rebecca Yarros. By the time the final act unleashes a rapid-fire sequence of jaw-dropping ruses, heartbreaking betrayals, and a massive, paradigm-shifting cliffhanger, you will realize that Web of Vows and Vengeance is a definitive triumph of speculative fiction, a blinding, star-lit map of absolute defiance and ultimate psychological captivity.